A digital dollar that was supposed to never fail erased $60 billion in days. No hacks, no wars, no black swan. Just a tiny crack below $1 that turned into one of the fastest financial implosions in modern history. In May 2022, a stablecoin didn't just lose its peg, it pulled the pin on a financial grenade, wiping out millions of investors and lighting the fuse for crypto winter. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Nothing went wrong. The system did exactly what it was built to do. On the surface, Terra looked untouchable. While the rest of crypto argued about crashes and bear markets, the Terra ecosystem felt like a calm island in a storm. UST sat neatly at $1. Anchor Protocol promised nearly 20% a year, like a savings account that forgot how math works. Money didn't rush in, it piled up. Retail investors, crypto funds, even people who swore they were just parking cash. Nobody talked about risk. Nobody talked about exits, because one quiet belief held everything together. If UST stays at $1, this machine keeps printing peace of mind. The problem? That machine was already overheating. Terra sold itself as a machine that could fix its own mistakes. No banks holding reserves, no government guarantees, just an algorithm and a promise. 1 UST will always equal $1. The mechanism was deceptively simple. UST was linked to a second token, Luna. If UST ever slipped below $1, traders could swap 1 UST for $1 worth of Luna. That UST would be destroyed, less supply, price back up. If UST traded above $1, the system did the opposite. It printed more UST and burned Luna until balance was restored. Automatic, permissionless, supposedly unstoppable. This was pitched as the evolution of money itself. Stability without banks, trust without humans. And for a while, the illusion held. UST stayed pinned to $1. Luna exploded in value. Confidence turned into conviction. So when UST dipped a few cents in early May 2022, no one panicked. This is what the system is for. Arbitrage will handle it. Relax. What almost no one questioned was the hidden dependency at the core of the design, that Luna would always be valuable enough to save UST. And once that belief cracked, the math stopped being comforting. The peg didn't break because of panic. Panic came after the math failed, and once it started, there was no off switch. The stability of UST wasn't built on trust, it was built on yield. Anchor Protocol was the gravity well at the center of the Terra universe, nearly 20% annual interest on a coin that claimed to be as safe as cash. In a world of zero rates and shrinking returns, that number didn't just stand out, it pulled money in like a black hole. But that yield wasn't coming from real economic activity. There were no profits, no productivity, no cash flows. It came from subsidies, venture capital quietly topping up reserves, a reward pool slowly draining itself just to keep the promise alive and confidence intact. As long as deposits stayed parked, the system looked serene. Charts were flat, pegs held, everyone relaxed. Then, large players started withdrawing billions from Anchor Protocol. Not panic, not chaos, just exits. The moment that liquidity left, pressure concentrated instantly. UST slipped below $1. The algorithm did what it was designed to do, and Luna began multiplying. Here was the flaw hiding in plain sight. Protecting UST required destroying Luna. Every defense of the peg meant minting more Luna. Every new token diluted the last. The harder the system fought, the weaker it became. This wasn't fear taking over, it was incentives flipping direction. Selling became logical, waiting became lethal. And the most disturbing part, nothing malfunctioned. This spiral wasn't a failure of code, it was the system operating at peak efficiency. At this point, it wasn't about saving UST anymore, it was about how fast the collapse could spread, and who wouldn't make it out in time. Once the feedback loop turned vicious, everything accelerated. Luna's price started falling. To defend UST, the system printed more Luna. That new supply crushed the price even further, which forced the system to print even more. Greed flipped to fear in hours. Early warnings were ignored, then rationalized, then mocked. This will bounce. It always does. Just one more day. But the numbers were already screaming. Luna's supply exploded from hundreds of millions to trillions of tokens in days. Charts stopped looking like markets and started looking like flat lines. What used to be worth tens of billions was now worth rounding errors. Exchanges struggled to keep up. Validators halted the chain. Investors watched portfolios evaporate in real time. And the absurd part? The more people tried to escape, the faster the system destroyed itself. This wasn't one bad trade or one rogue actor. It was a chain reaction, incentives stacking on top of incentives, until denial became impossible. By the time most people realized what was happening, there was nothing left to save. Then came the moment when the numbers stopped making sense. Luna, once trading above $80, was now worth fractions of a cent. New tokens were being minted so fast that price charts lagged behind reality. Screens refreshed, balances changed, and still the collapse outran them. Validators pulled the emergency brake. The Terra blockchain was halted, not because the system was unsafe, but because it was working too well. In just days, over $60 billion of value had effectively vanished. A project once framed as the future of money ended in silence, frozen mid-transaction. Dark irony? The algorithm never panicked. Humans did.
But Terra wasn't the end of the story. It was the trigger. Because the damage didn't stop where the blockchain froze, it leaked into everything connected to it. The real fallout didn't happen on the day Terra died. It unfolded quietly afterward. Funds that had parked billions in UST suddenly couldn't meet obligations. Crypto lenders discovered their low-risk collateral was gone. Balance sheets that looked healthy a week earlier were now fiction. Celsius froze withdrawals. Three Arrows Capital collapsed. Confidence, the one thing markets run on, evaporated. This is the part most charts don't show. People who weren't chasing moonshots just yield. Savings meant for rent, tuition, retirement, gone. Regulators took notes, hard ones. Algorithmic stablecoins stopped sounding innovative and started sounding reckless. What had once been marketed as decentralization now looked like leverage wearing a hoodie. The lasting damage wasn't just financial, it was psychological. After Terra, trust didn't slowly fade, it snapped. When Terra collapsed, it didn't leave behind confusion. It left behind clarity. A system built to remove human judgment also removed hesitation, mercy, and pause. When confidence cracked, the code didn't slow down. It didn't adapt. It simply executed, faster than people could react. This isn't a story about crypto being broken or algorithms being evil. It's about a harder truth. Stability isn't free. It's subsidized. And when no one knows who's paying that bill, the bill eventually comes due. Terra erased $60 billion in days, but what it really destroyed was the illusion of risk-free yield. So the next time a system promises safety without sacrifice, don't ask how it works. Ask what it breaks when it stops.
If you enjoyed this video, hit like and subscribe for more cool stuff they don't teach you at school.